Alrighty. Hey everybody, it's Tia again with Goddess of Clarity Tarot, and we are doing the rest of the Zodiac signs for the weekly prediction this week. So we're going to get started with picking the next Zodiac sign that it will be. Alright, Spirit Guides, Ancestors, Guardian Angels, please help me to connect with each and every person who will be watching this YouTube video from here on out. I ask that it be for their highest good and their highest good only. I thank you for your wisdom, your guidance, and your knowledge as I do these weekly predictions for the next week. Please help me to pick the sign that needs a reading the most next. Ashe. So the next sign is water. Okay, so this will be for all my Pisces, Cancers, Scorpios. All my Pisces, Cancers, and Scorpios. All right, so that's the next one we have. So let's get started with what you should work on this week. What are some challenges, some things in the shadows that need to be addressed, some questions that you need to ask your shadow self, etc. All right, Spirit, what's some things that they need to work on this week? All of my water signs. All right, perfect. So we have the child I was meant to be and masquerade. All right. So I have these two cards here. So what this is saying is the first thing is to reparent yourself. There are some things that happened in your childhood. There are some things that happened with your upbringing that required you to feel like you didn't have a voice, that required you to feel as if you had to wear a mask and pretend to be who you truly are. I feel like a lot of you water signs tend to put on airs in order to fit in with the crowds or to people please. So it's time for you to really get to the root of why you feel like you need to put on a mask for people. Why can't you be your most authentic self? And the answers are with your inner child. So there's a lot of healing that needs to happen there. There's some questions that you need to ask yourself in regards to that, and start to give your younger self the things that you needed that you didn't receive, so that way your adult self is in a much better and happier environment and that they can be loved properly. A lot of times we are fragmented when we're younger, and what that means is that you are directly connected to the source and to spirit when you are younger. That's why a lot of kids are so innocent and they see a lot of things that we don't see. They're able to hear and see spirits a lot more easier than adults. So you want to get connected back with that innocence in that younger self, so that way you can start being more connected to the divine source, and you're able to get more clarity, more downloads, and to connect with your higher self better. Okay, so that is something you want to definitely pay close attention to this week. So doing some inner child healing, working on journaling, and doing that shadow work to see what your people pleasing skills, where they came from, where did they originate, when did you feel like you couldn't be your authentic self, and what about yourself do you not particularly like, and why is it that you feel like you have to change who you are. So start to love those pieces of you that you feel need to be changed. It's because you're not happy with them. All right, too many cards here. Alright, Spirit, what's the message that they need to hear for this week, February 8th, going into February 14th? Alright, so we have peace. We have loss. And we have tree of life. Okay? So what this means for me is that some of you are not experiencing peace, and a lot of it is because of this masquerade that you're putting on and feeling like you have to change who you are. So there's negative thoughts that you feel about yourself. There's negative ideas that you have, a negative view of yourself. And so that's the first thing, is that you need to start to love you completely, seeing yourself in a better light, seeing yourself the way that others see you, and starting to get to the root of why you have these negative ideas of yourself, and starting to dissolve them, get rid of them. You know, whatever is in your mental, those thoughts that are disturbing you and disturbing your peace, it's time for you to get to the bottom of them and start to break down all of those negative thoughts and all of those negative words that you've heard from other people and from society and from your past and your upbringing, and start to dissolve them and break them down, and making sure that you are able to heal. That's what's going to be the key to your peace. So this week you definitely need to work on shadow work. It's very important for your peace. Some of you have experienced a loss or will experience a loss this week, something that caused you grief or sadness. I honestly feel that for a majority of you, this loss happened when you were younger, and you're still carrying a lot of baggage from it and a lot of sadness, and you haven't quite gotten closure from this loss. So you need to address that loss as well and start to go through your grieving process, even if it's 20 years later. If you haven't addressed those feelings, it's definitely time for you to address them, so that way you can heal and resurrect yourself, get back to who you used to be. There's definitely something that's growing within your life. There's some things that are going to be, you'll start to see growth this week, okay? There's going to be some magical blessings that happen this week, some things that's going to be divinely guided. So pay attention to those signs and pay attention to those little blessings, those little encouragement, you know, those little confirmations that you're on the right path, and start to embrace those. Now is the time to really start to focus on your growth and breaking family history and starting to rebuild something different, especially if there's a lot of generational things within your family that has gone on for a very, very long time. Now it's time to switch that over, and you may be the person who has to do that. You know, it's your destiny to figure out a new journey for your bloodline and for your family. All right, so let's get into the tarot. All right, Spirit, what's some things that they can look forward to this week, or some things that they need to work on? What's the message for all of my water signs for this week? 7 of Pentacles in reverse. The Death card in reverse. The 2 of Swords. The 6 of Wands. Please ignore all the noise that my kids are making in the background. Okay, 2 of Cups in reverse. And King of Cups in reverse. Okay, so there are a lot of reversals that's happening here in this relationship. I'm sorry, not this relationship, but in this reading. And the Ace of Cups is at the bottom in reverse. So yeah, there's a lot of self-love that needs to happen this week, and pouring into yourself. You definitely need self-care. There's a lot of things that need to happen this week. The first being is that you have to realize that success comes in many, many forms. And sometimes we don't necessarily see the fruits of our labors in the way that we would picture them and in the way that we would like them to be. But that doesn't mean that things aren't growing. That doesn't mean that these seeds that you have planted won't grow later. Some things just take a little bit more watering. Some things take a little bit more tending to the soil. You know, there's some things that you're trying to manifest, and it just requires a little bit more work. And it doesn't mean that you'll never see the fruits of your labor. It just means that you have to put in a little bit more effort than you would like to, probably. But you definitely just have to work a little bit harder towards it. Also, just know that there's major changes that's happening especially this week. And you have to look at these transformations as a positive thing. There are some things in our life that have to end, and there are some things that you need to work towards that's going to put an end to certain ways of thinking, certain habits, so you're able to move forward and you're able to have clarity. So the clarity that's going to come is going to be when you have more of a calm mental state, a calm emotional state, and you're making decisions from a place that is grounded and centered and not emotionally driven. That's when you will start to see that there is victory, that there's good news that's coming to you. And this week, I do see that there's some positive news that is coming for my water signs. So be on the lookout for good news this week. If you're waiting on a job offer, if you're waiting on something, like money, taxes, whatever, I do see that there's good news that's coming in this week. On the flip side, there's also things that you need to be mindful of when it comes to making business transactions or when it comes to your relationships. So right now there may be a disconnect, and it's because you don't see the value in the offer that's being made to you. There's some things that feel emotionally draining or it just doesn't feel good to your spirit. And so there's some things that you have to reevaluate. If you feel something, pay attention to it. We don't just feel things for no reason. So pay attention to your intuition. Pay attention to who you're pouring into. If you are giving more energy into a situation than you're getting out of it, and if it's not emotionally fulfilling you, then there's changes that needs to be made within your life. Because right now there is a blockage when it comes to your energy. And I feel like because you are pouring too much out there and you're not getting enough back, and now your cup is empty and you're pouring from an empty vessel and you're pouring from an empty place, and you don't have enough to give to yourself, let alone to anyone else, because you're draining yourself. So you want to make sure that you are extending energy where it needs to be and where it's going to be beneficial to you. And that doesn't make you selfish, and it doesn't make you any type of person, because you want to make sure that you are getting what you put out. If you continue to give and give and give and you don't have anything replenishing you, what are you going to do? And it's sometimes people are giving you, but they're not giving you enough. And that is also okay, that you can address that and say, hey, you're not giving me what I need. And, there is something I heard once, and I don't know where I heard it from, so I don't want to quote anybody, but if you know who quoted this, then please put it in the comments. But basically it was as if you had a cup, and then you have like the top of a tiny, tiny water bottle. So you have this, right? This is the person you're getting energy from. This is your energy. So you're pouring and pouring into this person, and they can't receive it. They don't have enough to receive all that love. They don't have enough of a vessel. They don't have enough to receive all of what you're giving. And then you have so much, and when they try to give you back, there's only this cap full that's not going to fill you up with all of what you've poured out, that has overflowed out of this top, has overflowed and poured out onto the floor. If this is the equation that you're getting right now in your business relationships, your regular relationships, your jobs, whatever, your home work life, if you are putting this much energy into this little vessel and they are giving you this back, there's never going to be enough. There's never going to be enough. So just keep that in mind when it comes to who you're giving your energy to, and make sure that you are giving where it's going to be well received, and also receiving enough, receiving equally what you've put out, okay? So make sure that that's your main focus for this week. I hope that this resonated with you. If it applies, let it fly. If it resonates, let it marinate. And I hope to see you again here next week. So click those notification bells to see whenever I go live or I post new content. Subscribe, comment, and share with your friends and family who may also need this message today. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Happy Monday. Bye.